This is episode 116 on Find Your Flow Formula. Welcome to the Athletic Mindset. I'm your host, Corey Camp, former Division I swimmer, forever athlete, and your personal performance coach, helping you find flow in your day-to-day life. Today, I want to break down what exactly it means to be in flow and how we can begin to formulate a formula that is unique to you and I as individuals to get into flow with a little bit more consistency. But before we hop into it, before we start flowing out here, jamming out, I want to share with you that the Forever Athlete apparel drop is live, our first ever apparel drop. We got t-shirts, we got hats, different colors, different sizes, limited stock available for you to rep the Forever Athlete brand. Someone that is always growing forward, always moving forward. Here's your opportunity to find some apparel that represents you in a way that most apparel lines don't. So go cop yourself some swag. You can find it in the link below, the show notes, you name it, you know where to find it. Go check it out before it's sold out. Now, let's get back into flow here. So flow is the zone, as so many of us as athletes are familiar with it, and we like to refer to it as the zone, but we're going to use those two interchangeably throughout today and moving forward here. But it's a state of total immersion into the task that is at hand. It's when we feel the most productive, borderline superhuman even, and it's actually a state of consciousness that we can get into through a series of flow triggers, which we're going to dive into here today. Understanding these triggers and how they relate to us as individuals is exactly what performance coaching really boils down to, and the better we understand how we respond to each trigger allows us to better build our routines and habits around them to facilitate more flow into our life. Now, the beauty of flow is it's not limited to just one area of our life. For a while, I was under the impression that flow was something I was only going to feel when I was under the lights in the swimming pool. Yet, I've learned over the years that, yes, we're familiar with flow as athletes in the sports setting, but it's actually something that we can experience in our work, regardless of our profession. It's something we can experience in our relationships, whether they're romantic or not. And it's really going to impact how we are able to show up in the world in general. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about helping you find flow. Is it's the best performance enhancer out there on the market, and it's totally freaking legal. That's the beauty of it. So here's a brief overview of the triggers to help you get into flow. Buckle up, because there's going to be 22 of them in total. We're going to roll through them. So the first one is, or first group really, we're going to look at intrinsic flow triggers. So internally, what drives us, what motivates us. Clear goals is going to be the first one. So clear understanding of what is required of you for a successful outcome, and you're working towards it. That's why I beat this horse till it is dead in the face. We need clear goals. We have to have a clear understanding of where we are going in our life. The clearer that picture is, the better we can measure our steps towards it. Number 2 is unambiguous feedback. So you receive immediate feedback from yourself and or others. Think of it like this. This enables you to course correct in real time, allowing you to push your boundaries and your limitations beyond the perceived perceptions of what is possible. That's where a great coach really helps come into play, right? They understand, they can give you the feedback along the way, and you're able to correct in that moment, make adjustments as you go before it's too late, and hence we get into flow. Challenge skill balance. We really dove into this last week, but activity should be challenging, yet it's within your perceived abilities. The imminent anxiety of the activity shouldn't paralyze you for where you're at, and it should be challenging enough, so not below your current skill level, that you're getting bored and a little bit apathetic. You could care less about what the background or the outcome's going to be. It's got to be right in that sweet spot. Number 4 is that concentration on the task at hand. Your attention has got to be laser-like focused. In this state, any irrelevant stimuli disappear from your consciousness. Worries, concerns, they're all temporarily suspended. We leave it at the door. Number 5, we got curiosity, passion, and purpose all wrapped into one. That's honestly the continuum that we build from. We start with curiosity, leads into passion, develops into purpose. That's a topic for a whole nother episode. We can dive deep into it. But you have strong intrinsic motivators here. When you're not primarily guided by extrinsic motivators such as fame, money, power, it really opens yourself up to more flow. You feel as though the journey is the thing that matters the most, and that you're contributing to something that is much bigger than yourself. Flow trigger. Last one, intrinsically, we got autonomy. So you pay more attention when you're the captain of your ship. You have complete autonomy over where you're going, and you alone dictate how you're going to steer that ship towards your determined destination, aka clear goals. Now, shifting to external flow triggers. So we have this curious ability to design the environment around us. All of us have that within us. Some of us a little bit more than others, and that's okay. Our environment can trigger flow or it can inhibit it, and here's some ways to start making sure our environment triggers flow. High consequences, which is the topic again of last week's episode. We talked in depth about it, right? You have to risk it to get the biscuit. The type of risk doesn't matter. It just has to be present so that we can be present for the task at hand. Novelty is number 2. Nothing worse for flow than getting bored, right? If we're apathetic towards that outcome, we could care less. We're not engaged in that activity. Novelty makes our brain pay attention because it's saying, hey, this is something new. We haven't experienced this before. We haven't encountered it. How are we going to solve this problem? Think of the first time that you found Angry Birds is a great example of a phone on your game, a game on your phone. The novelty of the game is what got you hooked in the first place. And the next thing you know, hours could have gone by and you've just been tapping your phone excessively trying to control a freaking bird. That's a poor example of flow, but flow nonetheless. Surf a lot, know exactly what I'm talking about there. It sounds like some hippie shit, but I promise you, deep embodiment is a life-altering flow experience. And honestly, we tend to feel the most alive when we are deep embodiment of whatever that activity is. Creativity and pattern recognition is the last group or external flow trigger here, and it's one of my personal favorites as a creative now. So it's when our brain likes to link old information that we've had in the past with new information and come and create a original idea. It's what happens when we start working on a great idea that pops into our head. We need to capitalize on that. We should start capitalizing on immediately. You have neurochemicals working in your favor when your brain is recognizing the unseen, new patterns, and that's exactly what the thought leaders of the world, the Elon Musk, the Jeff Bezos, are doing, and that's how they're able to revolutionize entire industries through Tesla or Amazon, whatever those companies may be. When you have a creative download, jot it down. You never know what it might end up becoming. It could be the next best thing. Let that universe flow through you with your creativity. Next up, we have group flow triggers. So we don't have to go into flow alone. And that's the beauty. We see it all the time in sports when that team has that certain aura around them, right? They are the team of destiny. Much like how the Phoenix Suns feel to me as I'm watching them. I'm picking up, they're playing above and beyond right now. And it's because they're locked into a group flow state and they tap into it continuously. That's why culture and environment are integral in our success, not just individually, but as a team, as a culture, as a company, whatever that may be. So shared goals as a company go a long way. Having a general idea of where to steer the overall ship is pivotal in group success. The more everyone is on the same page, sharing a vision, sharing the same mission, the closer connection that is able to develop between you and the rest of the team. Teams that actually embody their mission and vision do better in the long term than the teams that just talk about it once, they put it on a pretty poster and they post it on the wall, never to really be thought of again. Close, deep listening is the next one we're going to explore here. And when we think of close, deep listening, it's our ability to truly listen and become an active listener, both to our teammates and to our coaches. And that's really what allows innovation to rise to the surface. We must be fully engaged to energize those around us. And in a world of distractions, this gets harder and harder to do, but flow is always worth the focus, which leads us to complete concentration as our next trigger. Flow exists only in this present moment, not anywhere else. The team not focused on the outcomes, rewards, or punishments is going to be the team that wins. The only thing that matters is the endeavor itself. This is why we must learn to leave our issues at the door when it comes time to lock into this present moment, the task at hand. Blending of our egos, we call this the hive mind, when we're no longer acting solely in accordance with our internal sense of self, is the next trigger we explore here. You feel like you are part of so much more and you get totally immersed into the experience at hand when this happens. Think of the best orchestras in the world, the best symphonies. All of their individual egos are blended together to create an overall elevated and magical moment, bringing you better music than they could ever hope to have created, just doing so as themselves as individual performers and artists. Everything gets elevated together here when the egos are blended in that moment. Being in control, autonomy, it plays a role in the group setting as well. Feeling like we're in the driver's seat as workers, as players on a team, really elevates the overall team sense here. Think of the more autonomy that we have, the more flow that we can experience. The best teams, they have that shared goal, yes, but complete freedom on how to reach it is what differentiates those that are able to reach that goal and those that are kind of haphazardly going about everyday life. Patagonia is a great example of this. They have a saying that they operate under by let them go surfing. And what that means is there's a company policy that if they want to go surfing in the middle of the day, if there's waves, they are more than welcome to go do so. Other companies do this with unlimited PTO. There's this autonomy and there's this understanding, this mutual respect that, hey, you're going to get your work done. We trust that. So go and do it. And in doing so, that encourages more productivity, more flow, and we capitalize on that as a collective unit here. Equal participation is the next one we explore. Members of a team have to be able to contribute equally to the task at hand. They should have comparable skills, and they should complement one another. Think of your Steve Jobs, your Steve Wozniaks, right? Different skills, but very complementary of one another. Hence why Apple is the company that it is today, and it has the culture that it's had over the years and the success that has come with it. Familiarity is another one. Being familiar with each other's performance style goes a long way in finding flow. You don't have to be best friends. You don't have to be able to complete each other's sentences. However, you should have a general understanding of how the people around you perform, and especially when it comes to exploring novel situations, so collectively you can solve more complex problems. Open communication is absolutely key, and it seems to be the thing that our society sucks at these days. Your typical conference meeting doesn't usually produce flow because it lacks the open communication. This is why vulnerability, honesty, and openness should be fundamental at the core of every single company and at the core of every single team. The more open that you can be, the more flow that you're collectively opening up and allowing to be produced in that moment. Moving it forward is our second to last one. Think of improv here. Being able to build on that last step that we just experienced, create something a little bit deeper than what was there before. The brain gets flooded with feel-good neurochemicals when we do this and we're making forward progress. That's compounded when we as a team are collectively making progress together. So focus on progress and growth and watch what that will do to your overall performance as a whole. Last one here in the team setting is shared risk. The feeling of flow is tenfold when the stage lights are on and it's time to perform as a team. This really boils down to how well do you harness the stage fright and the performance anxiety that can exist when we are showing up under the lights and shift it into a powerful flow state. When there is shared risk on the line, the team that is more likely to rise to the occasion is the team that's able to collectively take that stage fright and channel it into flow. Much like a playoff team fighting off elimination, they don't succumb to that pressure. They're able to rise to that occasion and stave off elimination. That's why there's nothing really more exciting in sports than a Game 7. Fingers crossed we're getting some here in the NHL and NBA playoffs. We can create our own Game 7 environment on a day-to-day by using shared risk to our advantage. These triggers, what's the beautiful part about them is they aren't exclusive of one another. In fact, the more that you mix and match and create a formula that is unique to you, you create different levels and, depth of flow in your day-to-day life. These next few weeks, we're going to be diving into flow a little bit deeper here on our Mindful Mondays. I'll be diving into each of these triggers with a little bit more detail and more ways that you can get flow and implement them into your day-to-day life, maxing out your life in the process. We all flow further together, so share this episode with a friend, a family member, a teammate, a coworker, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or comment below on which triggers have helped you the most in experiencing flow in your day-to-day life. Remember, if you can change your mindset, you can change your life. One thought followed by one action at a time. I will see you all next time.